welcome to the Apex Esports League Project Cars 2 PS4. Tonight we have Apex Esports League's Formula Rookie Cup, which is the final round tonight. So we are racing at Autodromo Nacional Monza GP, and it is wet conditions tonight. So far for tonight's session, it is just the final race, so not our usual two-session setup as we usually do. So it's just the final race. So we have a big 25 lap race, so we're heading off into a 15-minute practice. Weather is overcast to light rain. Qualifying is 15 minutes, weather is overcast, and then the final race is 25 laps, light rain, overcast to clear, and a mandatory pit. So it'll be quite interesting seeing what goes on with wet conditions. So far we've seen a 143 take 8 wins from 8 races, so he's leading the championship with 538 points. So a clean race here tonight will ensure a victory. And then we have Demon Effects and Gallon 350 battling it out for spots on the podium. So over into pit lane at the moment. We have 9 drivers with us at the moment. We may be able to get a couple more come through before the race starts. He's getting out on the track already. And game session time is 9 AM. Track temperatures will be quite cold considering the conditions are overcast. And I think most of the drivers tonight are quite keen to try and get a win in on this series. And I'm sure Azuro will be looking to have a flawless victory and take victory in each of the races for the entire series. We haven't had that happen in the series, any of our championships since we started about a year ago. So it'll be good to see Azuro do a full clean sweep through the races. He's taken pole position in the majority of the races as well. We saw him last week actually take pole position in the sprint race. He didn't get the fastest lap. We had Gallon 350 come through with the fastest lap. And then in the second race, Azuro took pole position and then took the race victory. And we had Sami take the fastest lap for that one. And of course, if you weren't joining us for the race, we are actually at Red Bull Ring GP for round 4. Oh, there's a little bit of chaos going off in the background. Try and remind myself who's in the white car. That's Weaven's car. He was running wide off in the distance there. I think that's Gallon just ahead of him. There's already a fair bit of tide debris scattered across the track. We've got 10 cars with us now. And if you join us for the stream, don't forget to hit that follow button if you haven't yet done so. We stream every Thursday night, so you'll be notified when we go live. And then next week is the opening round of the V8 Supercars Championship. So it'll be roaring around in the V8s. It usually draws a fair few drivers into those series. Last series we did have towards the end of last year with the Lake Edge Supercar Championship. That event was proudly sponsored by Lake Edge Holiday Units. The Slappy Kiwis managed to join in. Looks like someone's happened to drop out, so Demon FX is having some technical issues. He's disconnected. So the weather conditions have changed already. The light rain is already set in. The game settings for the session is for weather to be synced to the race, so the start times do become a bit random, so drivers cannot actually determine exactly when the weather will change. Generally, if it's just set to a time progression, if it's a 25 lap race and you've got 3 weather cycles, usually about a third way through it'll change to the next weather cycle, so you can estimate when you can look at trying to pit in and then change out tyres. However, that will not be the case. that the drivers may only get 3 or 4 laps of rain into the race, or it could actually last out quite a fair bit. So it is a long way around for the track, especially in these cars. Those big long straights, these cars will top out quite early on. The gear ratio setups will be crucial in these cars. And it is full custom setups for the drivers, so they can customise their car to really suit the track and themselves. Like someone getting some warmth in back there. First time's coming through. Slappy Kiwi's come through with a 2:24 for his cold lap. Don't forget also we have those sound controls down underneath our stream as well, so you can play sound effects over the stream. So you can put cheers and boos and various other phrases and sound effects to be able to have some fun with the stream. The Zero's come through with quickest. That's a pretty good first lap out, a 2:12. Callan's come through with a 2:14. That's Bertie just ahead of a Zero. So we've missed Bertie for the last few rounds. He's been busy, so it's good to see him back out on track again. I'm pretty sure it looks like he's driving that thing with controller. He usually does drive with a controller, and he is very fast still and puts up a very good race against those with full wheel setups. Kudos to Bertie. Glad to have you back. We haven't seen Demon Effects be able to get back in just yet. Well, we've had another driver join into the lobbies. Trex is back. We've joined us earlier in the series. Jeffries has just gone off track, so he's just had his lap time invalidated. And down the bottom of the screen as well, you'll notice our social media links. So there is our Facebook page. You can head over to it and hit that follow button or like, and then you can stay up to date with all race results and incident reports as well. And we do also have the Apex Esports League on our Android app, so you can also get that and check out all our results. And you do not need Facebook to actually be able to check out our page. It is all public, so you can just go onto there and scroll through the feed and see the latest race results. I'll try and jump on board with a car soon. They're getting a little bit of spray, so a fair bit of water has fallen on the track now. Time progression for the sessions is ×2. So game time starting at 9 AM for a 15-minute session. We'll actually see 30 minutes pass. So that means we also see 30 minutes worth of rainfall fall in that 15-minute period if it rains throughout. Which it will actually, because the conditions is overcast through to light rain, and the rain did set in quite early. I'm not sure if many drivers will opt to go for starting on slicks. These cars do handle quite well in the wet conditions. But if they end up getting a fair bit of rain in those opening laps of the race, it's not going to be worth trying to risk it being out on slicks. You'd have to be rather cautious. Let's see, we're coming up for a lap around. We might jump on with our championship leader. But into turn 1, so a very dreaded turn 1 and out of many tracks. Lots of incidents usually happen there, especially in the wet. Drivers are going to have to be extra cautious with the wet start. Is taking the car reasonably easy as he's just exited out of the pits. These cars usually top out at about 190 kilometers an hour. So when the tyres are up to 10, you can stay out wide, ready for that chicane, brake hard in, trail brake through, and actually be able to tuck straight through. And then a bit of a slide corner this one. You can power straight out onto that exit curb. And then dive down into that turn. And then another long straight. And then we start getting into a very fast, almost a chicane. Hi, Slappy. Thanks for joining us in the stream. We saw you got disconnected. You having tech issues, or are you still driving? Slappy's joining us for the stream from pit lane. Probably not at this stage, Slappy, for Fridays and Saturdays. Very fast corner to come back out onto pit straight here. And then that is a lap around Monza. They're very crucial to get that corner. You can tend to try and go flat foot into it, but you do actually have to try and brake a fair bit just to get a nice line, trail brake through and then power through, as that'll give you a good exit speed straight out into this straight. Now that Zero's got some temp in these tyres, we'll probably be able to see a nice first turn. That's a respectable line through the chicanes. Well done for Zero, our championship leader. Disfigured Souls just disconnected as well, so there's some technical issues going on for a couple. We did see pop up that Terexa joined as well, so hopefully he gets in for the race. He might just be waiting in the lobby. Sasami, very quick time indeed, a 2:13.888. And Sami's been quite a force to be reckoned with, where we saw him actually keeping tail with a Zero a couple of rounds back. And he's ran into some bad luck where he's been at the blunt of some incidents and then a couple of mistakes that end up costing him the chance to actually have taken a pass on a Zero. So hopefully some better luck for Sami tonight. And we haven't had any wet conditions in our broadcasted races for a while. It'll be interesting to see how our drivers fare in wet conditions. It usually tends to be a few of our less stronger drivers against more of our faster ones. They actually tend to end up being a lot stronger in the wet conditions. It'll be very interesting to see how things go. And Disfigured sent me a message, so he had a blackout, so hopefully he's got time to be able to get back in. So you should be able to get in for the qualifying session in time for the race, so long as that power's back on. Yeah, Slappy, that is quite a good time, so 2:18. And then, yes, so getting those times in early before that rain comes in is the reason why we're seeing some quick times. And then we can easily add about 4 seconds per lap once the wet has really set in. And the rain did come in quite early. So third quickest time in the practice session is Gallen with a 2:14.057. And then fourth quickest is Slappy Kiwi with a 2:18. Simo Simsel has got a 2:18 as well. Weaven 777 with a 2:22. Followed by Bertie with a 2:22. And then Jeffries with a 2:25. And Demon FX is back in. He did get disconnected just earlier, so he's now back in luckily. So he's yet to get some times on the board. We probably won't get a whole lot in. I know he's probably got time to get around for a lap. There is a minute 10 remaining on the session, and it usually gives us a couple of minutes to finalise that last lap. So hopefully he has a nice clean lap and we can see a good hot time for him. That rain has really set in, so he's going to be quite slower than what we're seeing for our top ranked times at the moment. Jeffries just come through 2:22 as well. So if you're joining us for this chat, be sure to say hello as well. You can see your messages come up. Let us know who you think is going to take pole position and who is going to win the race. Will Azuro manage to have 9 victories of 9 races? It has not been done for Apex Esports League's championships left yet, so it will be exciting if Azuro can do it. Oh, some bad luck for Sami there. It's cost him this lap, and definitely now after he's just taken some damage. So he was feeling a bit of water pooling, I think is what was going on. You can see a few spots. It's a fair bit of water that we see Gallon going through. The game with its live track simulation, these sections of track that's not driven on will actually stay wet. Can sometimes get a little bit of a river going along that back section there. Yeah, I think a lot of people do have GT Sport Slappy. A lot don't tend to like it too much as it's a bit too arcadish, but it's something that we'll probably look at one stage and try and do some fun on there. It is a lot of fun to mess around on. Demon Effects rounding up this lap now. So he's off that line there, you can see him in the water. He comes through with a 2:21, so it's a pretty good wet time. They had some pretty good times on the board, so they're pretty tight amongst them. So it's just Jeffries out there now. There's 40 seconds for him to wrap things up. Yeah, he can do that too, Slappy. I've got one for, I think it's a Corvette that I put it on. And then we have the results for the practice sessions. So 1:43 coming through with the quickest time. Sami followed in with the second quickest time, and Gallon 3:50 with the third. And then the rest of the times we saw there was after the heavy rain had started to set in. So qualifying session we head off into now, so it's 15 minutes of qualifying. Weather conditions have now changed to overcast. Game time is 10 AM. Track temperatures will have increased. Oh, there goes Zero flying. It looked like a bit of lag going on there. Yes, some jittering going on for a Zero. Hopefully no issues go on and disconnects him. Usually tends to happen once the session loads up. It can take a little bit for the game to fully sync up with the cars. Yes, so Zero's car is showing damage. We've seen that happen. Actually, I think it was last week with Zero heading out of the pits, showing that he took damage. However, it was just actually some lag going on. And there are points up for grabs for qualifying as well. 20 points is available for getting pole position. So tonight there is 145 points up for grabs. That's taking the pole position, a race win, and then 5 points for the bonus points granted to the fastest lap of the race. With 145 points, if Demon Effects does get a clean sweep tonight, and there's a bit of issues going on for Jeffries. Oh, he's just made wall contact. He's going to have to bring that in quickly so he can get that car back out. Yeah, so Demon Effects is currently coming second in the championship. 145 points isn't enough to be able to get ahead of a Zero. However, if there was a penalty situation involving a Zero and he was to lose points, that could potentially hinder his chance at actually securing a victory for the championship. So it's not over yet. Gallen 350 is coming third in the championship, so he's currently got 343 points. Demon FX coming second, just ahead of him with 368 points. And we have a Zero, of course, leading the championship with 538 points. That's an astounding amount of points. A Zero so far has taken 7 pole positions. So that's all bar one race he's not taken pole position in. 8 race wins. Average race positioning, of course, is first, and that's accumulating him on average 67 points per race. So that's some phenomenal statistics. Oh, and unfortunate for Jeffries, he's taken a grid place penalty. Oh, if I hit the right thing, so that's a 2 grid place penalty for Jeffries. So that's some significant speeding in pit lane. Oh, he's having a little bit of issues with the car. Those tyres are still cold. Doesn't take damage there. He's get that car around nice and clean. Get some temp into those tyres. It is a very long lap, so it is more than enough to get some temp into those tyres. And here we have Demon FX rounding up, looking to be able to get in a first hot lap, I think. A bit of debris on the track there. Someone has gone off. And that is a fast corner, so it's going to be a little bit slippery. Drivers have to be cautious with that at the moment. And Demon FX is probably in a very good position here, tucking in behind Bertie's car. So Bertie's generally has some quick pace, and Demon FX is quite a fast driver. We've seen him do some great driving in this series. He's been able to handle this car rather well. So tucking in for a good lap now, and then take advantage of some draft. Oh, that's cost him there. But Bertie doesn't seem to have taken any damage. With the very long straights on this track and with the lack of power that these cars actually have, you really need to be able to use that slipstream as an advantage to shave some extra time off those laps. And that's where we've seen a Zero manage to secure victories in the races. So he's been managing to actually get about 2.5 seconds ahead quite quickly at the starts of the races, and that's when you have that distance apart that you actually start to climb away from those behind, as they no longer have the advantage of that slipstream to try and catch back up to you. As you can, once you're in that toe of the car in front, you actually start quickly catching up, especially on a very long straight. There's going to be some different strategies needed to actually get some good times and a win around this track tonight. And then pit strategies will be a big part. So we've seen a Zero manage to usually pit in the last lap of each race. But that will not be the case for a Zero this time around, as the race is starting off in the rain. So he will need to look at pitting a lot earlier, as he's going to have to get onto those slicks, unless he's going to chance that the rain may not last that long and opt to stay out on slicks, and then he could potentially stay out there until that last moment. Bertie gets right up on that curb, so it's actually quite a big ditch going down into that curb, which isn't a beneficial thing to get these cars down into it, as they are so close to the ground, and there's no suspension really going on these things. They are just an oversized go-kart, and especially in the wet, as that channel is actually much like a drain. You drop a tyre down into there, and potentially you're going to see yourself spinning and straight into that wall. There's Sami just in the background there, getting a nice line. This lap for Bertie isn't going to be a good one. This is where he's gone off. Sami's going to have a good opportunity here to be able to take advantage of a tow and get some extra speed. And hello to JK Gamer, thanks for using those sound controls. And Bertie's gone off again. Bertie's struggling with the car so far. He did rather well in the practice session, but he's struggling to get that car around, and this is where it really counts now. He has got a time on the board, but it's not going to be a strong position. It's a 2:30. And the Zero's come through with a very quick time indeed. So he's come through for 2:11.639. We saw him get a 2:12 in before the rain set in the practice session. And it's the same for Sami and Gallen as well. We even didn't get a time in time before that rain had really set in as well. So he ended up getting a 2:22. But he's already come through with a 2:13 in the dry conditions. And of course those track temps are much higher, so there will be a much quicker time. I'm expecting probably a second quicker off those 2:12s, so I don't think we'll see too much of an improvement from Zero's 2:11.639. It'll probably be a quick 2:11 potentially, so probably another half a second in it, I would assume. Unless of course they do get a good run up and be able to tuck in behind another fast car and get dragged along. And that looks like that is Demon Effects that's now tucking in behind Weaven, so it's going to be advantageous to him. He did have that advantage before sitting in behind Bertie, and that looks like that's Gallen gone off track. Yes, that's Gallen moved off to the side. Looks like a bit of lag going on as well. That car jolted for a moment. And tech issues happening for some of our drivers, I think. Hopefully nothing for me on my end with the stream. I've had some pretty good luck lately. So Jeffrey's in 6th position at the moment. He does, well, that's cost him. And hitting those ribs on these low cars usually does cause damage. And Jeffries has got a 2 grid place penalty for speeding in pits, so that means at the current standings he would be pushed down into 8th position. So he needs to try and shave some more time off and move up that ladder a bit more to take into effect that 2 place penalty. We haven't checked out Simo in the session yet. So he's in the blue car, 99. So currently with a time of 2:18.042. See if he can improve this time. Not getting a race feed, so I'm not getting sector data. Doesn't improve it. Yeah, it was a much slower lap, that one, so I don't know if he's come back out of the pits. It was a 2:24. Bertie's making his way back up now, having some better luck with that car. So he's come through for 2:17. We have Demon Effects, Sami and Weaven in the 2:13 mark. There's not much between them, especially Demon Effects and Sami, so it's only 100th of a second between the two. We have Weaven, Demon Effects and Gallen all following each other at the moment. This is going to be a big advantage to Gallen having a 2-car tow. The speeds he's getting, so we're seeing him get to about 185. So he's getting an insane speed. So these cars, it's at the speed limiter, so that is topped out at 194. So he's getting a very good effect. Weaven spinning off and taking some wall damage. That's going to be costly for him. He's going to have to bring that car back in the pits and get back out. Gallen has quickly closed that gap in after having a much higher speed than the other cars. They would have been only getting to that 185 to 188 kilometres an hour. So for Gallen to get 195 k's, and he's going to do the same thing now. Slingshots around onto the last corner. He was hoping Demon Effects was going to have quite a good run in. This is going to be a very fast lap for Gallen. Oh, a 2:11.745. So that is a very quick time indeed. And the zeros come through with a 2:11.282. So that is very quick. And let's see if Sami manages to be able to improve this lap around. He's currently on a 2:13. Yes, so he's improved that to a 2:12.249. That's a very good time. So our first three are less than a second apart. It's going to be a very interesting start to the race. In the last couple of races, we've had the other drivers starting to really put some pressure onto our championship leader Azuro as well. The most of the races we tend to see Azuro end up finishing the sprint races usually by about 8 to 9 seconds in front of position 2. But then he's had a lot more competition the last couple, so it'll be very interesting to see how it goes in these wet conditions. And Slappy's in the pits at the moment, so he's got a 2:18.243. Simo Simsel in with a 2:18.042. Will he improve his time as he crosses the line? Oh, sounded like he's missed a gear then. Didn't improve that time. Something was going on down that straight. Looks like Bertie's just ran wide as well. And Jeffries, having some issues. I think that's where we saw him when we crossed to him last time, having some issues on that chicane. Going to have to probably look at some quick adjustments to that car. There's only 40 seconds left of qualifying for him to last out 25 laps. If he's having some setup issues, he's going to have to try and resolve that pretty quickly. It's not going to be enough time to be able to get out and actually try it. Oh, Sami, way too quick in that corner. That is that corner I was mentioning before, where it tends to make you want to actually flat out straight through it. But you do actually need to get on that brake and then trailer brake through and then get onto that power exiting out. That's where we saw Gallen end up actually getting banked up behind Demon Effects, where Demon Effects ran similarly. And there we have qualifying complete. And Gallen, let's see if we can get some sector data. Gallen's going to have enough time to get around. No, so he's 2 seconds slower than his fastest lap. So I don't think he's going to be able to shave off 2 seconds elsewhere in the remaining 2 sectors. There could be an opportunity for Demon Effects to steal a pole position here. Keep these up so we can see sector data as it crosses over. Can Azuro manage to hold on to this pole position? If he does, this means he's only missed out on 1 pole position out of the 9 races. That is quite a feat to do. His .447, it's better than his current. We'll see him do a quick 2:13, but he's got to try and find another 2 seconds. Gallen flips over to let him through. Demon, don't know if that's end up affecting Demon. Going that line very quick. I don't know if it's going to be enough to improve. Yes, so it's done it to a 2:12, so that's a very good time. The Demon Effects moves into 4th position. So qualifying is complete for the final round. We have Azuro 143 taking another pole position. So that's only one race that he's missed out on a pole position. So well done to Azuro on setting poles. Also starting at the front is Gallen 350 in second, followed by Sami, Demon Effects, Weaven 777. Jeffries has a 2 grid place penalty, so moves down 2 spots. So he starts in position 8, and we see Bertie move up into position 6. And Simo Simzul in 7th, and then followed by Slappy Kiwi, and we have lost Disfigured Soul due to a power outage again, unfortunately, so he won't be starting the race with us. So heading over onto the track now, ready for this final race. Drivers will be changing their setups. As it is now wet conditions. It'll be interesting to see if any drivers opt to stick with a slick rather than wet conditions. Yes, that is right, Slappy. So sticking back a little bit is a good strategy when you can sit back and get that extra speed and conserve fuel as well. So you can end up running a lighter fuel load and have a better advantage. For longer race stints, I usually tend to try and aim for a qualifying position of around the 5th mark, so that you can actually try and stay out of chaos at the start of a race and then slowly pick off cars throughout the field. It can sometimes be a strategy of a lot of longer endurance drivers as well. It is a strategy that was usually used by Craig Lowndes in the V8 supercars. Really aims to sit back at Bathurst for that, usually around the 15th position. He likes to sit and then sit back for the first 5 to 7 laps, let the chaos and everyone sort of settle in their pace, and then he just starts rounding them up. Joining us for that stream, if you haven't yet done so, make sure to hit that follow button. Appreciate the support, and you'll be notified when we go live. And here we are about to start the final race of the championship. And we're away, and a very good start by Gallen. I don't think it's a jump start, and Sami also gets away for a very good start. So diving up in between Gallen and Azuro, so Azuro gets away a lot slower. So also with Azuro looking to secure the championship, he just needs a clean finish, so no points lost. So he technically could have not even showed up tonight and guaranteed the championship, as there's no chance of losing any points. So he does need to play this race cautious. He doesn't want to be at the brunt of an incident that's going to potentially cost him points. But he's probably not going to be overly aggressive in the race. Not that he has really had to be. He's gotten away pretty quick at the starts and climbed away pretty quick, but so far this is Sami's race. He is absolutely flying. And Gallen is tucking in. He's ran out wide. That's going to cost him a little bit of slip as he goes through. I think we may be missing a couple of drivers towards that back end. I'm not sure what's going on. I thought I could only count 6 or 7 cars on that straight. There is 8, I think. Slappy Kiwi's fallen back. I can't see a red car towards the back there. Maybe have had an incident. I think we did have issues with Slappy. I think it was last week. His wheel wasn't working. Oh, and Gallen's making a pass on the straight, so use that slipstream. And there is a lot of spray on the track as it's first lap around, and it started with rainfall. So whoever is out in front is going to be having the disadvantage of copping the most wet on the track. And a few switchbacks going on. We can see some weaving going on between Azuro and Sami. They are neck and neck. They're both Oh, Sami slipped back now. I think he's going to be dropped down into 4th position. Oh, Gallen runs wide. That's going to cost him. That's an opportunity for a Zero to get in. Gallen needs to bring this car back in off that strip without slipping out. He's going to probably see a slowdown be given to him as well, but I dare say if it is, he's just going to ignore that and take a second penalty. It would be worth it, as over the course of 25 laps, it's probably not going to be overly important. So Gallen moves out of the way from Azuro, goes for that inside line, but Azuro's going to have to brake a little bit harder. There's almost contact. And there was a bit of a lock-up going on, so we had to quickly bring that in, and then Weaven almost great tyres with Azuro. So now Sami has slipped back into that 4th position, but still looking to get back around Weaven. Demon Effects isn't doing too bad, he's not too far behind these guys. He's probably sitting back just hoping that one of these are going to cause a slip and potentially wreck them all and he can get through safely. That is a big possibility at this stage. So we're on lap 2 now. And there, oh, we've had Jeffries just go off wide. It looks like Simo Simsel and Bertie ran wide out onto that exit curb. We have Gallen now leading the race by 0.8 of a second. That is after having the issues. So we didn't get a slowdown by the looks of things. So very lucky indeed. We'll have a look. So Slappy Kiwi did fall a fair way back. So not sure what happened at the start of the race, but did appear that he disappeared pretty quickly. Not sure what was going on, whether he was having some tech issues. His car, I think it was last week for the main race, just kept stalling at the grid. So we'd actually drive off and it would stall out. So I'm not sure what was going on. And you can see all drivers weaving to get that slipstream advantage for Gallen. So that just puts big pressure. So that's now slungshot Azura around into 1st position. But he's going to be having to shave off a lot more speed to be able to take this line. This is a brilliant turn. Gallen is straight back in, is going to slingshot around, but this is going to put him as a disadvantage now, as he's now come out alongside Azuro, and then Weaven is going to have the advantage of a slip, as Azuro and Gallen are having no slipstream going on for them. And who is going to pull in? Gallen's going to have right of the racing line. Oh, there's contact between him and Weaven. We saw the two in an incident last week where the two were equally allowed the line and owned the apex, and they both made contact. It was a no penalty situation as they didn't affect any other car, only themselves, so they were of equal responsibility. If another car had have actually been impaired in that incident, then that would have been a shared penalty between the two. Luckily, it didn't occur, but that did end up seeing Gallen finish the race quite a fair way down the back as he took a fair bit of damage in it all. But it is looking pretty good so far for lap 3 at Monza in wet conditions. And it's very tight racing, and especially in these wet spots, you don't have a lot of room to be able to allow for hitting those brakes. And Weaven darts out for a slingshot around that straight. He's going to be in a very good position. Azuro's holding that inside line, and he ends up using a move to block Weaven, as you need to be out quite wide here. And Azuro managed to keep that line, but this is going to be a big advantage for the rest of the cars here. Look at them all trying to break stream here. You can see Demon Effects tucked in. This is, yeah, they are saying the visibility is shocking. Very wide line by Demon. This is going to be alright. He's going to be able to tuck in. Some parts of the racing line are okay. Look at these four. They are going for it. 3 wide down pit straight. Weaven's tucking in. Gallen's going to be at a disadvantage here. He's going to have to bring that back in. He's tucked in behind. It's 2 by 2 going into turn 1 chicane. This is going to be wild. Oh, no contact. And they ended up balking Demon Effects, unfortunately, but this is tight racing by these 5 drivers. This is insane racing. They are not going to let a Zero get a clean win easily. Look how close Sami is here, and then also Gallen going different lines. They're fighting through the chicane. So it's allowed a Zero to be able to slip away a little bit now. He's now leading by a second. If he can push that lead out, then a Zero is probably going to be pretty fine and quite comfortable. Oh, Gallen's ran off wide into the kitty litter. That's going to cost him, but can he get back out quickly and try and tuck back in behind these 4? He's lost several positions, so now Weaver moves up into 3rd, Demon Effects into 4th. These 5 are definitely giving us a good show. Sami slipped into 3rd position with Sami. Sorry, into 2nd position, I should say. Sami slipped back into 3rd. Demon Effects is sitting right tight behind Sami's car at the moment. If you're joining us for the stream, be sure to use those sound controls. Throw some cheers for these drivers. This is amazing driving. Oh, Weaven has gone off track. This is going to be costly. Getting under brakes with a tyre off. And he is side by side with Demon. There was almost touch. It is very risky. You cannot rub with these things. We've been some great replay watching for some of these incidents where cars have actually managed to rub and perfectly touch their tyres. All synchronise at the same time, so they just actually bounced away from each other. Where if they had been just an inch off, there would have been a lock into those wheels and been drastic, which we've seen a few incidents happen where they've locked wheels. Oh, Demon Effects, I think he did actually lock wheels for a second. I think there was contact with Weaven's car. So he had to shave that speed off all of a sudden. And then that's balked Sami. And it's Zero now at nearly 3 seconds ahead. So he's now in the clear for being able to not have anyone use some stream advantage and gain some extra speed on him. So if he starts doing very consistent pace and faster laps than the others, he's going to start to climb away. We're 5 laps in. Still seeing wet conditions. Weather the forecast is expected to change into overcast. And then over into clear conditions. So the track will start to dry up. But we don't know when each weather event will actually change. Demon Effects now looking. Oh, we've had Sami slip back a little bit more. Unfortunate for Sami. He was having a very good shot. And we got Bertie starting to catch up as well. We have Jeffries look at the back of the race at the moment. He's looking to take on Slappy Kiwi for a position. So he's looking to steal that 8th position away. So we haven't seen much action of what was going on at the back after those first 5 laps with those top 5 drivers. They were putting on quite a show. We'll make our way through now. Oh, I think he's going to go for a move around Slappy Kiwi. I don't think it's enough to try and catch up. They're going to be coming up to that big, fast left-hand bend, followed by the chicane, heading off into the right, ready to go onto that back straight. I don't think it's going to be enough for him. Oh, he takes a different line. Slappy Kiwi gets up over that curb. That's going to cost him. And not enough speed to allow Jeffries to get around. So through the line, Simo Simsel currently sitting in 7th position. He's got a bit of a gap between him and Bertie, and Simo Simsel, sorry, Slappy Kiwi behind him. And then Bertie is currently 5 seconds behind Sami. So Sami has really slipped back now after that fierce battling going on with the top 5. Gallen currently in 4th position after we saw him go off wide, costing him that lead. Was leading for a good portion of those 5 laps. And weaving right up the tail of Demon Effect. Let's see. Starting to slip a little bit behind Weaven now. So car's starting to settle into pace at the moment. Demon Effect, a little while to catch up to Azuro. I think Azuro is going to be pretty safe now. Oh, Weaven's just taken a hit. He's spun off. He's got a wheel off the track. And also a spin by Gallen. I'm not sure what was going on there. It looked like he dove off. Not sure if there was some debris on the track. What was going on with Gallen? And that's allowed Demon Effects to be able to ease off on some pressure of having someone behind him, so he can actually try and focus on improving those lap times. Oh, I think Gallen's just spun off again at the back there. Not sure what was going on. There may be some damage going on for these guys. Weaven's now down into 6th position. Bertie and Sami have now climbed up. Oh, he's got some suspension damage going on with that car. You can see it did not like going down into that ditch. And there is a fair bit of pooling going on. That is unfortunate for Weaven. Last lap set, Azuro setting a 2:21.913. Demon Effects a 2:22.249. He's closing that gap in. He's about 3 seconds out. So he's got a little bit to catch up. Needs to try and shave that lap time. If he can improve that by about half a second, and Azuro keeps at that pace, he'll be able to quickly rein that in over the course of the next few laps. Wouldn't be surprised if the rain starts to settle in the next few laps. If you're joining us for that stream, don't forget to hit that follow button if you haven't done so already, so you can be notified when we do go live. And then it also helps us with supporting Apex Esports League so that we can get more races out for our drivers and stream them to all our viewers as well. And don't forget to check out our social media link. So Facebook page, you will see all our results and standings and incidents reports, and also on how to be able to get involved in our racing. And you can also do that if you have an Android phone from our Apex Esports League app. So all you got to do is just head to that page. There is a link to it, or you can just search on the Play Store for Apex Esports League and you will see our logo, and then that will be our app. Slappy Kiwi has been passed by Jeffries, so Jeffries did manage to get around. Simo Simsel has fallen back towards 8th position though. He was ahead of him before when we checked back on them last. Oh, Slappy Kiwi and Simo Simsel has gone off. I think there's a fair bit of debris on the field there, so only on the track. Not sure if there is a puddle of water that's going on that section that's causing issues for the drivers. Weaven's struggling with that car. He's fallen back down to 9th position. He did take damage in that hit. So we've seen Weaven, Slappy, Simo and Gallen all go off on that section of track. There is a fair bit of debris there, and there's possibly some aquaplaning going on as well. Have to keep an eye out. Also, it looks like there's a car up ahead of Azuro, so he's starting to catch up on some back cars. I'm not sure if that's Weaven. The blue flag will be up. Yes, that is Weaven's car. He's in the white car. Unfortunate for Weaven. It's not a usual sight to see for Weaven to be coming up for a lap, so he's just braking and moving. So this is where we've seen everyone spin out. There is a fair bit of debris, so a lot of cars have actually gone off and back onto the track there. So there's probably a lot of gravel out on that track, along with some pools of water. Is a very dangerous section of track. That's unfortunate for those drivers who have affected that. Zero managed to go through, and that is something that you've got to be cautious of. Once there's some debris onto the track, you have to be aware of it, and then actually remember to change that line around it until there's been enough time that cars have actually been around and cleared the track out and managed to scatter most of it back off track. So it looks like the rain is starting to clear. Less raindrops appearing on screen at the moment. And if you're watching the stream, don't be shy, say hello in the chat. Let us know if you think Azuro will take a victory here tonight, make that his 9th consecutive win, taking a victory in each of the 9 races for this championship. And there is a prize available for Azuro for winning the championship. He will receive the Apex Esports League Champion coffee mug, so it'll be sent out to him on conclusion of the event. Be sure to stay tuned if you aren't already following our Facebook page or a member of our Facebook group. You actually can head over to there and check out the results. And if you are keen in joining any of our events as well, you can do so. We welcome drivers of any skill level. A lot of our drivers that have been our top contenders, originally starting with Apex Esports League, were down towards the back of the field and usually getting a few penalty points thrown their way due to incidents being caused, and then now they generally are up the front all the time and put on a great show and are remarkably clean drivers. So we do have a great group of members who are all more than happy to help out newer drivers. If you don't have PS4 or Project Cars 2, we do race on iRacing on Tuesday nights as well. We have the Supercars Championship currently. We have our final round at Bathurst Mount Panorama on Tuesday night. If you are on the PC and have that, head to our Facebook page and there will be a link for that, or you can just search for Apex Esports League within iRacing itself. We will be coming into an IndyCar series as well after that, so some exciting things to come. The car's really spacing out now. So we're 9 laps in. We're approaching the halfway mark. The rainfall has stopped. So the track will be dry in spots until that driving line is cleared up. Drivers will have to be cautious when looking to go for some passes, as most likely the section of track that they come across will actually be rather wet. And our race leader and championship leader, Azuro143, is currently leading the race on lap 10 by 4 seconds over Demon Effects, who is currently sitting in 2nd position. And some quicker lap times starting to come through now that the track's starting to dry up. the track will start to dry up a lot more towards the end of the race as the weather conditions change to clear. We can expect to see drivers probably start to pit in the next probably 2 to 3 laps. As while there's still some pools of water on the track, they're going to have to be rather cautious with switching out to slicks just yet. And Gallen and Weaven seem to have switched places from what was going on last week. We saw Gallen towards the back of the field after that incident between him and Weaven. But this time, Weaven is down the back. Unfortunate luck for Weaven at the moment. Weaven also joins us in the iRacing Championship. I think he is currently coming second in that series. Oh no, Gallen has actually gone off. He's now dropped down to 4th position. Sami is running up in 3rd position now. He's got about 20 seconds before he can catch up to Demon Effects. And it is mandatory pit required for this race. And here is a Zero, so he's going in for those slicks now. I think Demon Effects is opting to stay out, so he'll now move into 1st position. And we're getting our lovely Chameleon pit crews. A tyre change. Quick release. It looks like there's some. Off he goes. He's got ample fuel to finish this up, so he's dropped down to 3rd position. The track is rather still wet, so Azuro is taking a gamble here. If he can handle this car with the track being a little bit wet still, as you can see in the sections there, the track has dried up and entering back into some wet again. So it's going to be quite slippery for him, so he's going to have to take it cautiously. However, his strategy that he's probably considering at this point is get in early for those tyres and then expect the other drivers to stay out on those wets while it's still a little bit slippery. But then as soon as they've pretty much cleared up the track and then decide to head into the pits, it's probably going to be some very good fast laps by Azuro. So that'll give him a big advantage of being able to slick back ahead on the rest of the field. But at this stage, Demon Effects and Sami are going to have to really push these cars and take advantage of these wet conditions. So they're going to be able to push the car a lot more than what Azuro can at this stage. And then if they can get ahead a little bit and then get in for a very quick pit stop, they could come back out potentially neck and neck with Azuro. So we're looking at about a 32-second pit stop by the looks of things. And Azuro is currently at 28 seconds, but as I was saying, he's probably going to have to take it relatively easy. As well as a bit of space going on, we will look at some lap times. And currently leading the race is Demon Effects. His last lap is a 2:18.413. That is his best lap as well, and that is currently the fastest lap of the race, and of course that is because of the clearing conditions. So now that we have Azuro out on slicks, it's going to be potentially seeing some quicker times come through, but I did say he will have to take it easy. So Demon Effects, that is a very quick in and out. So we're looking at that. It said he was in the pit box if you did not notice on screen. So getting some weird times. Where's the map? And Azuro's just past him, I think. Oh, Kakadu tried to join in at some stage. And there we have it. So Demon Effects has come out in front of Azuro. So using that strategy that I was mentioning, trying to really push that advantage of still having those wet tyres on while the track was reasonably wet. It'll just depend on whether Demon FX can still handle a little bit of slip at the moment, as there's still a little bit of wet on the track. And then considering he's about 9 seconds ahead of the Zero and only 14 seconds behind Sami. Sami will need to pit. He's probably going to pit this lap for sure. With how the track is drying out, he doesn't want to be out on those wets for too much longer. Otherwise, he's going to be seeing probably lap times of about no quicker than 2:16s with wet tyres on dry conditions. As you can see, only that one wheel as he goes out for a wider line, then goes off quite wide. The Zero's 10 seconds behind. Demon FX, this could be a victory for Demon FX if he can hold out for the remaining 13 laps. Still needs to be cautious, it is a little bit slippery out there. So he's out there on cold slicks with some damp track. The game time for the race started at 11 AM and time progression is ×2. Once we're 30 minutes into the race, it's progressed by about an hour's game time. So that means we'll be looking at about midday game time once we're halfway through this race. As this generally we try and have go for about 60 minutes, we estimate, to work out the amount of laps to do for our final races. Hello, Po for Life 900, thanks for joining us. Haven't done so, be sure to hit that follow button so you can be notified when we go live. We broadcast Project Cars 2 on PS4 every Thursday night. And we've been having some very exciting racing going on through this series, and then next week we start the 8 Supercar Championship. So lots of action to be seen there. Oh, and that's Simo Simzl that's gone off. I'm not sure if he'd already gone off or he was just moving well out of the way as he was shown the blue flag for Demon FX to go around. So Sami's currently leading the race, but there is a mandatory pit stop required, and Sami is still out on wet tyres. Unless he did actually manage to be able to do that 10-lap stint in the rain on slicks, it could have been a big possibility as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him opt to pit in. So he's coming up onto the last corner. So with how dry this track is looking at the moment, he's definitely going to need to get off those wet tyres if he is on them. Let's see if he crosses this car back over. And considering Demon FX is 18 seconds behind, no, he's staying out for another lap. Is he already on slicks? Let's have a look and see if we can see from the cockpit. No, we can't see from that view. From the bonnet. It looks like wet tyres that he's running. Wait until the car slows down a little bit and just have a look. It looks like a heavy tread pattern on those tyres, so but he's come through with a lap time of 2:14, so that's pretty good considering. So we will probably expect to see around the 2:13s is what we saw in the practice and qualifying sessions, and that's with qualifying was only in overcast, which the current weather condition would be overcast at the moment, and then it will progress into clear conditions. That could come on very quickly as well, so this track could start to dry up very fast. There's not a lot of wet patches being seen at the moment. if Sami can keep pushing this car like he's doing, he could do what we saw Demon FX do to be able to get ahead of Azuro. So Azuro pit rather early after the rain stopped. Azuro's strategy throughout the championship so far, which has been a pretty good strategy and has managed him to have 8 victories from 8 races, and that is to pit in the last couple of laps. But we saw him dive into the pits as soon as that rain stopped to get onto those slicks. So he came out while the track was still quite damp, and he had about, I think I worked out it was a 32-second pit stop that we're expecting. But then Demon FX came in and came through with a very quick pit stop and actually saw him come back out ahead of Azuro, and he's got a big lead over him. Sami is leading the race by 19 seconds, but he does need to pit. There is a mandatory pit required. Oh, and a 2:13. He is really flying with this car. If he can push this lead out to about 25 seconds, he's going to be able to manage to actually get into those pits and get back out and actually stay in the lead. We saw him battling very well with Gallen, Weaven, Demon FX and Zero at the start of the race. The first 5 laps were intense. We were 2 by 2 racing down straights and switchbacks and diving up between cars and 2 wide through chicanes. It was insane racing, and these guys did well. And then there was an incident with Sami made a mistake and slipped back to about 5th or 6th position. And then now he is leading the race. But he needs to further that lead a lot more. So Simo Simpson's come up as showing as a penalty, so he's got the red mark against him. So he's got a 1-second penalty, so that would be not abiding by a slowdown for cutting or going wide on a corner. Demon FX now needs to try and get those lap times really reined in. He's catching up on Weaven. We saw Weaven at the start of the race doing very well. And then an incident happened where he spun out at that section of track that we're just seeing him go through. And he took damage, and then that's cost him to fall back towards the back of the field. If you have joined us for those other streams, Sami's done some spectacular driving, and it's just been some minor mistakes or being involved in an incident by another driver costing him the race. He's really, truly deserved a couple of wins after the way he's driven through those races. So if he can manage to do this. Oh, the last lap set is exactly 2 seconds quicker than Demon FX and still quicker than Azuro. If he keeps this pace up, there's more than enough time to be able to get that car in. I wonder if he did actually stay on slicks for the start of the race. Surely he can't be getting these lap times on wets. It did look like he had deep tread on those tyres. But the game isn't always great at actually reflecting what's really going on. Doesn't look like they change tyres in pits sometimes, but they actually do. But then, lap by lap at the moment, is Sami maintaining the fastest lap. And we did see Sami take fastest lap of the race last week as well. So in the main race at Red Bull Ring, he managed to do the fastest lap. And then from what the guys are talking in the lobby before heading off into this session, were saying that Sami was setting some blistering times. He wasn't anywhere near as quick as what we're seeing in the 2:11s that Azuro was setting, but that we're not seeing that now. FX has gotten around Weaven, so Weaven is being lapped there. But he is a fast driver and usually up the front with the others. He's probably going to be able to keep pace here. So Demon FX probably feel a little bit of pressure seeing him in his mirrors, but he does need to just not feel overly pressured, as he's not going to lose a position if he does let him slip away. But Demon FX really does need to try and catch that gap up on Sami, so that when Sami does pit, he will manage to be able to get ahead of him. We're now lap 17 of 25, so we'll check at the back of the field. So Simo Simsel currently sitting in 9th position. We did see him up in around 6th position at the start of the race, and he has had some incidents falling back. And of course, Weaven with that big incident, spinning out on some debris on track and then aquaplaning into the wall. He's currently sitting in 8th position. And Jeffries, who started in 8th position after taking a 2-group place penalty in qualifying, so qualified in the 6th quickest time, but shuffled down to start from position 8 by way of penalty. And Bertie has been quietly plugging along in the race. He was having some bad luck originally in the qualifying session after doing quite well in the practice. Then Bertie hasn't been able to join us for races for a while. He hasn't been able to make it for our iRacing series on Tuesday nights either, so he's a little bit out of practice. And he does do all this on controller as well, so kudos to Bertie. Some fantastic driving considering the rest of the guys are running some pretty good sim setups. Lucky Kiwi is currently in 5th position. We did see him at the back of the field and starting to slip really far behind. He disappeared at the grids. So last week we saw him actually have to retire out of the race. His car was stalling consistently at the start of the race. Each time he would get going, the engine would kill. So some calibration issues possibly going on with his steering setup. So much better luck, and he was doing some very good times in practice and qualifying as well. So he was setting 2:18s, and that was before the wet set in. So he's doing a 2:16 at the moment. So very good driving for Slappy, and a 5th position would be a very good position to finish in. And he does have a little bit of a chance to try and catch up on Gallen, but Gallen is about 4 seconds quicker on a lap at the moment. So he's actually come through with almost the quickest time. So track conditions are clear now. You can see that sun shining through. We're going to see some very fast laps now. So Sami's in the pits, but is it a slower pit? So Demon FX is now out as our race leader, and there is only 7 laps to go. At this rate, with Zero's only 6 seconds behind now. Zero has been quietly reining that gap in. Looks like we've had someone drop out. Not sure who it is that we've just lost. We did lose Disfigured Soul earlier as well. He had a power outage during qualifying, so missed out. I think it was practice session. Oh, Demon FX makes an error, so it's allowed lap car. Oh no, and he's gone off. He had a wheel off track. Can he get back on track safely? He narrowly avoided sideswiping the barrier. That would have been race ending for Demon FX. So that's a big advantage now for a Zero. If he's just seen that error, he would be quite happy to be able to see that he can now hone in very quickly. Especially with that last lap being about 1.4 seconds quicker than Demon FX's last lap. If he keeps that up over the course of the next 2 laps, that will see him right on his tail. And Sami has slipped into 3rd position from having to go and serve that pit. It's unfortunate, but a spot on the podium is probably going to be looking pretty certain. Oh no, not for Sami. I've spoke too soon. he can recover from this reasonably well. He's got time up his sleeve. There is 45 seconds before Gallen will be catching back up on him. So brilliant recovery for Somi. That could have ended quite badly. So he's coming out on some green tyres. So those slicks are going to be rather slippery. Yes, so we can't see that deep tread there. So the game is showing correct. So he did last out on those wet tyres for a good while. But he should have probably pit probably 1 or 2 laps earlier. That could have been an advantage for him to actually be able to last out a little bit longer and just stay ahead of Demon FX. Demon FX making some errors. Some fatigue would be setting in for these drivers now. So heading out onto this track to do 25 laps after doing 30 minutes in total from doing a 15-minute practice into a 15-minute qualifier. They would be rather tired at this stage. I'm not sure who it is that we have lost out of the session. They've obviously retired. That's Simo Simzel who we have lost. That's who it is. He was trailing at the back, so not sure if he's taken some damage. And our championship leader has now got his target set on Demon FX. He doesn't need a win to secure the championship, but if he can get a win here to have a complete flawless victory, 9 wins of 9 races would be a spectacular finish. And only missing out on 1 pole position out of the entire series as well. So that is quite a spectacular. They are some statistics that you cannot ignore. He has done well. So someone else has dropped out as well. So now only 7 on the field. So Simo Simzel has actually left the session. Having Monza claim a few. But Tami not doing too bad in 3rd position, so he's pretty safe. Gallen's not too far behind, so he hasn't got too much to worry. And see who it is that we have actually lost. I think we've lost Bertie. Yes, sir. Bertie has dropped out as well. Doesn't look like he has disconnect, so he has retired that car. Oh yes, Simo, yes, yeah, we noticed you dropped out, and we've also lost Bertie as well. Demon FX still has Weaven ahead of him, and that is a good advantage too. So he doesn't have to try and get past Weaven, and Weaven is a quick driver, so he has some very strong pace. So that's going to be advantage for Demon FX to try and round up and get away from a 0. So as I've mentioned in this many times, at about 2.5 second distance is where the slipstream advantage starts to dissipate. You can start to see that time gap starting to vary between a 0 and Demon FX once he starts getting to that point. So if he can manage to have Weaven keep some very good pace, he can tuck in behind for these last 5 laps and get that extra speed and get away. So he's now leading over a Zero again by 3 seconds. He's going to slingshot, then that will be costly as well, as then now a Zero will have advantage for Slipstream. And then the more time that he actually spends contesting with a back marker, putting him on different lines, is going to be all extra advantages to a Zero to try and close that gap in. But a Zero does not need to have to get around, so he's not going to risk having an accident and actually being at risk of taking a penalty, as if he does, and then Demon Effects comes through at a good result. That is a possibility that a Zero will actually not win the championship, and Demon Effects may be able to take it. But a Zero has returned back as our race leader now. And Simo Simzel, if you don't have chat, he's joined us in the chat and he's mentioned that he has actually lost the remote last corner and looked down to find it, and the next thing he is in the pits speeding, so he's actually disqualified for speeding in pits. That's some very unfortunate luck for Simo Simzel. And Bertie had to retire, so he got taken out and then suffered critical engine damage, so he couldn't continue. So unfortunate for Bertie. So a couple of casualties to the Monza GP. And Weaven is wearing a time second penalty. That is only 1 second, so that's not too bad. Currently the fastest lap of the race is going to a Zero, so it's a 2:12.214. So not too far behind that is Demon Effects for 2:12.763. Oh, and also Gallon with a 2:12.566. So some very quick times indeed now that these conditions have cleared. A few damp patches on track that's not online, so they will need to be cautious when looking to make some passes. And Demon Effects has another advantage here to be able to catch up some ground on a Zero, as he's now behind Weaven, who is some laps down as well. Weaven currently on lap 21. The race leaders are on lap 22. There's 3 laps to go of the final race for the final round of the championship. So you can see a little bit of spray out on those outer lines. That can be quite risky when you get that outside wheel into the wet, especially if you start getting on the brakes a bit. It can actually lock up and put it into a slide. We'll need to be rather cautious still. And Zero not yet being able to get out ahead by the 2.5 seconds that usually secures him for a clean getaway. Demon Effects still has that advantage of a slipstream. And on this track with those long straights, with the speeds that these cars can only get to. So he's going to be on the rev limiters around the 190 mark. Oh, that's some top speed going on there. Demon Effects and Weaven tailing in behind. Don't forget to use those sound effect controls down below as well. Cheer on our drivers. Let us know, will a Zero make this his 9th consecutive win, or Demon Effects is going for look for an inside line coming into the chicane. The Zero's in for some trouble. The Zero really gets in the zone once he's got that nice little safety net by a few seconds. tends to feel a little bit of the pressure when someone's right on his tail. So if Demon Effects can really close in that gap, put this pressure on for these last 2 laps, he could potentially force an error, or at least find an opening that's going to be able to slingshot him around. And if he can sit right on his tail for the remainder of these 2 laps, he could use a good line through that last corner to be able to fly out and slingshot for a victory right on the finish line. So his last lap was a 2:11.408, and Azuro's last lap was a 2:12.658. I think that's now the fastest lap of the race, and that is. Demon Effects now has the fastest lap of the race. So he is really focused in these last 2 laps to try and take down Azuro. You can see track is reasonably dried up. There is a few damp patches. So this is where I am describing that Demon Effects could have a good advantage to try and get a pass even on the last lap. So he may not want to look for an opportunity to pass. It's probably not worth... Oh, that's cost him some time. There's a lot of slip, but then Azuro's taken a little bit of a different line, so I think that's Weaven starting to go out alongside of him here at the moment. He's having to keep to the side. Yes, Weaven is side by side. He needs to try and close that gap in again. He needs to find a perfect line on that corner right on the tail of Azuro, and Azuro won't be able to do anything to stop Demon making that pass on the straight. Jeffrey is in the pits at the moment. He's currently wearing a time second penalty as well, so 10 seconds. So it looks like he's possibly entered into the pits a little bit quick. So speeding in the pits about 10 k's over, we'll see 10 seconds. Anything more than that, usually start wearing about 50 seconds, and then it progresses out to a DQ beyond that, which is probably what happened for Simo Simzel, unfortunately. Demon Effects is still only 1.1 second behind. There is 2 laps remaining. It's not over for Azuro. He's not safe from having a win stolen away. We have not seen another driver at the top of the podium yet. Can it be done? Let us know in the chat. Will Demon Effects put the pressure onto Azuro and manage to get around in these last laps? And you can see Weaven semi-patiently sitting behind Demon Effects. He's got some big pace, but he is a lapped car, so he can't interfere with these guys. But he's really looking like he's got the pace to be able to get up and around them, which is really unfortunate. So if he hadn't had that incident that ended up seeing him fall to the back of the field, he probably could have been there and had a good shot at getting around for a win. It's the same with Sami as well. He would have had the win in the bag if he had had that nice quick pit. So pitting a couple of laps too late and staying out on those wet tyres end up costing him some much needed time to wane out that pit stop. Oh, and here we go. Demon Effects is going to look at going. No, I think he just needs to tuck in and stay that same line as Azuro and put that pressure on. He needs to stay very close. Getting offline and not being comfortable with the line, looking at taking a pass, could possibly just cause a switchback anyway, as you're not going to be coming out of that corner at a good line, and Azuro could potentially just end up back out in front, and then you could potentially end up back out losing another second. Demon needs to just stay focused and stay close. sounded like a gear issue going on for one of the cars there. I think that might have been Demon's car. So we're coming up to the last sections. This is the last lap. Down into the fast chicane. He needs to get a brilliant line through here, right up over that strip. Still a little bit damp. Oh, that's cost him. That's put him into the wall. That is tragic. Demon Effects has taken damage. Azura is set to have a victory. That will be 9 victories. Nothing can stop him now. Demon Effects did have that in the bag. He was close enough to be able to slingshot around Azura. That is disappointing for Demon Effects. I bet he is shaking his head in disbelief now, costing him on the approach. This is where we could have seen Demon Effects fly around Azuro. Here is Azuro, 9 consecutive wins. Congratulations to Azuro. He has won the championship. So that is 9 race wins out of 9 races. He's also seen 8 pole positions out of the 9 races as well. So that is breathtaking results. So disappointing for Demon Effects. So he could have had that win and broken that streak for Azuro. So still well done. Second on the podium for the final race. And that means he will be second in the championship, I am pretty sure. So he was sitting on 368 points, currently second on the ladder. And Sami, some great driving throughout the series as well. He is currently 4th in the championship. And then he finishes on the podium for the final round, and it is the big points. So that could potentially see him sneak up over Gallen. So Gallen wraps up in 4th position. Well done to Gallen. So it'll be interesting just to see who is in the 3rd place for the podium, whether it'll be Gallen or Sami. And Slappy Kiwi done some very good driving tonight. He was at the back of the field and slipped behind rather quickly at the start, so it'll be interesting to see in the replay what happened with Slappy, but he's recovered rather well and moved back up into 5th position. So he's on approach to the end, and Weaven has already crossed the line, so that is an AI driving his car. So he's finished in 6th. And Jeffries, he's lost the nose cone, so he's facing some damage. He's probably not being able to get the car around. Oh, and on pit straight as well. That's unfortunate for Jeffries. He'll be finishing in 7th position, and Slappy Kiwi finishes in 5th position. Congratulations, and that has been a wonderful series. So that is it, concluding the Apex Esports League Formula Rookie Cup. So we have a 0-143 with a flawless victory, 9 wins of 9 races, so well done to Azuro. Also on the podium is Demon Effects in 2nd position, Sami in 3rd, and then we have Gallen in 4th, Slappy in 5th, Weaven in 6th, Jeffries in 7th, and Bertie in 8th. And we did lose Simo Simsel from a DQ from the speeding, but Bertie did retire out after that accident that he had, so that was obviously back on lap 17. So fastest lap for the race. Let's have a look and see who has managed to do that. I think it's a 2:11, and it's a 2:11.033. So a clean sweep in the final round for Azuro. So congratulations, mate. That is a brilliant drive. They are some phenomenal statistics to have. So a 2:11.033 with the fastest lap. So we will be, this is it, concluding for the Formula Rookie Cup. So upcoming next week, we have the opening round of the Apex Esports League V8 Supercars Championship. So that will start the same time, Thursday nights, 7:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And then the first round is at Willow Springs International Raceway, and then round 2 is Rapuna Park GP, followed by round 3 at Long Beach Street Circuit, and the main race is under lights at Long Beach. That will be a very spectacularly, visually satisfying race, so some great scenes racing around there. And then round 4 will be Circuit of the Americas GP, and the final round is Bathurst Mount Panorama, of course. So very exciting. There are spots available if you want to get involved in our races for that series as well. So be sure to follow our Facebook links, get the Apex Esports League for the Android app, and you can also find out all the details to join in, or if you're an iRacer, you can actually join in on our Tuesday night sessions. So be sure to hit that follow button, and you can head over to our YouTube channel as well. All our past broadcasts get saved to there after they've been done live on Twitch. So thank you for watching, and we hope to catch you next week for the opening round of the Supercar Championship. See you next time.